Hi, my name is Christin Brown. I am a colorist, and today I'm going to be doing an incredible blonding technique on my client/model, Angelia. We're gonna be doing a nice amount of blonding. The best thing about blonding is it adds brightness, it adds something new and something versatile. So I'm gonna show you how we're gonna take her current look into something that is going to be absolutely spectacular. So let's dive right into it. So in my formulations, what I'm using right now is the Simply Blonde Blue Powder Lightener. I used it with a 10 volume. Why? Well, because if I'm working starting in this section, by the time I get over to this side or even work in the back, this side is gonna be processing at rapid speed. What I wanna do is slow down that process, work with more of a low and slow method. That way I have time. It gives her hair the opportunity to lift gently. I'm not risking the integrity of her hair. So it's an incredible way of still getting there. You'll get there eventually, but I'm not rushing the process. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do is section out this first little area. If you notice, I don't have any foils at my station, okay? What foils do, as incredible as foil highlighting can be, it still speeds up the process. So what I want to do is just use my own hand as my palette. I also just want to let her hair naturally do what it's going to do. Again, going back to that low and slow method. So I'm gonna go ahead and take just a little bit of lightener. I'm gonna put it on the inside of my hand. The reason why is, again, I'm working very, very quickly, but I'm also working as clean as possible. Sometimes I feel like using a paddle, that can kind of get a little messy, but this is a great way of having some nice control. I'm gonna grab a little bit, just like that, so I have my lightener right along the top part of my brush. And just like your classic balayage is I'm just gonna work kind of in this V motion. So I'm gonna start here, kiss the outside. You can also come on the inside, kiss that a little bit. And really work in a downward motion. I'm gonna show you in a little bit how I switch my brush because it's gonna give you a different effect. I want for this to be as soft as possible. We already have a nice root color going, so I'm gonna show you how we're gonna utilize her roots and still give us that nice brightness. Her ends are already much lighter than the rest of her hair, so I'm gonna kind of keep it off the ends for a little bit and then go ahead and start with your next section. One of my favorite brushes to use, which I will show you, are these two guys. These are paint brushes. Essentially, this one really is a paintbrush. But this is gonna give you that softness, that feeling of feeling like an artist, because you are an artist. And also this one's gonna grab a lot more product. So it depends on the type of placement that you want. If you wanna go for a more softer effect, then I would highly suggest that you start with a paintbrush. If you want something like bigger placement or a lot more product distribution, then I would go ahead and pick up this big guy. So I'm gonna show you the benefits of both. I'm gonna do the same thing using my hand as my palette, place it right in the middle, kind of get both sides of the brush saturated. And I'm gonna do the same exact thing. I'm gonna pick it up, lay it as flat as possible, kiss right up to the hairline. To get this back side too. And as you can see, you can always really kind of map out the way that you want for this to look. It's really funny because sometimes I will squint when I want to see what my final project is going to look like. So if you catch me squinting, that's the reason why. And then what I also like to do is to kind of flick it in an upward motion, going back toward the root. This just softens that line. Again, we want to make sure that this grow out is nice and seamless. Use my hand as my palette, stop right around this zone where she's already light, and I'm gonna keep going from there. So one thing that I learned about Angelia in our consultation is the way that she likes to part her hair. Typically you can part somebody down the middle and you can really create some nice brightening on the left and the right side. But because she never wears her hair with the middle part, I'm definitely going to add a lot of that brightness in the direction the way that she normally wears it. So what we're going to do is heavily paint her on this side, because you wear your part on the left side falling to your right, correct? All right, so I'm really gonna kind of get it in here. Now, naturally, I could have also stopped right here and then flipped everything to that side and heavily paint on that side, but I still wanna make sure that if she changes her mind down the road, she sees a new trend that she likes, or maybe one day she accidentally parts her hair down the middle and she loves it, that it still can be really versatile. So if you notice, the higher that I'm moving up on the head, I'm bringing a lot of this brightness up to the root. I still love her root color, so I'm not trying to shift that as much, but I am trying to add a lot more dimension and brightness in there. One other tip, if you can see, is that I've added in some cotton right there at the base. So feel free to go ahead and paint away, but what I'm not trying to do is have this piece underneath that has our lightener on it kiss the underside of that, creating a spotch. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this nice little cotton pad, place that right there, so that way we don't have to worry about it. I'm doing this for the sake of brightness, but also longevity. As Angelia's hair grows out, what I'm trying to avoid is that really distinct line of demarcation that typically happens, for example, when you foil highlight. So what I'm going to do is add a couple of these like nice bright strands throughout, but the idea is to still keep a nice amount of her root involved. So that way, as her hair grows out, whether this is 4 months from now, 5 months from now, hopefully not too much longer after that, she'll still have a really beautiful, seamless blend. So I'm gonna show you what I mean by that. I'm still gonna go ahead and keep my brush relatively on the cleaner side. Again, popping this right back into the center of the hand so that way you can use it as your artist palette. What I'm now doing is kind of over-directing her hair backwards just a little bit, because naturally the way that she likes to grab her hair, she likes to play around with it, toss it around. This is gonna give a good graduation of color, and it's definitely going to soften up this root a lot. So what I'm gonna do is, you can typically have your client tilt their head toward you, which I've already had her do. I'm gonna kiss the root just a little bit and then slide it right down the hair. It doesn't have to be a perfect line. If you overdo it a little bit or you get a piece of the hair next to it, it's not a big deal. I think a lot of times as artists, as we overthink it, this is your opportunity when you do free form highlighting like this, is to truly have fun. So I got that nice strong line that's gonna go ahead and blend down into where she's the lightest. Now I'm gonna go ahead and go back in. I have the option of breaking this up on the side or keeping this root section dark over here, but definitely work up the middle. So that way it just gives that nice, gradual, soft blend. And that's the way I'm gonna keep it. Again, we have that really beautiful, kind of gingery, honey brown root color in there. Then I went ahead and softened it, but also made sure I have these really bright pops. So that way, if she decides to wear her hair straight, it's gonna look awesome. Today, we're actually going to be styling her hair a little bit different, which I'm excited about. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish this last top section up here. Again, if you feel like you're gonna get a little bit too messy, that's quite all right. Just use cotton to separate your sections. That'll keep it so that way you don't have to overthink about if you have kissed the underside with lightener. Again, she's already pulled in that direction. I'm gonna glide it along the top to get that really strong line right there. Go back over it one more time. Kind of kiss that middle section and then back it up just a little bit. And that's how that looks. And that's gonna look truly, really incredible the more that she plays with her hair, however she decides to style it. All right, here is the finished product on my amazing client/model, Angelia. As you can see, we definitely went brighter. So as you can see here, we kept a nice amount of her root color because we like the warmth. She's a beach babe, so we wanna make sure that we are in alignment with that. But also what we did is we made sure to have a nice amount of blonding to break it on up. Again, we're looking for longevity with growing her hair out. So we want something that is gonna move with the seasons, not just for the right now, but spring, summer. And one thing that I really loved about the formula that we did was we had a nice amount of beige, also mixed with a nice amount of a violet. So it's kind of like a balance of cool and warm, which you can definitely have. I know it sounds like oxymoron, but it's definitely grounding down this awesome, kind of like beachy blonde. One thing to keep in mind when applying products on top of curly hair is to make sure that it is super wet. I didn't towel dry your hair first at all, I just went directly in. And I'm gonna talk about exactly what I used because it's really important. So the first thing that I used on her hair was the All Curl Lightweight Defining Cream. This does an incredible job of providing the moisturization and the hydration next to the curls, so that way the hair is not reaching out to try to grab moisture in the atmosphere. This is how frizz typically occurs. So I did that first, then I went on top of it directly afterward with the All Curl Defining Jelly. Now the cool thing about this jelly is it does have a little bit of a hold. So doing the cream first to give the moisture and the hydration, then doing the jelly on top of that is really what's going to lock in that definition. So essentially she can rock this hairstyle nice throughout the week. And that's what we want when it comes to curly hairs. We want longevity, we want definition, and we still want for it to feel nice and touchable. Lastly, what I did is I sprayed the All Curl Sealing Oil Spray directly into my hand, kind of emulsified it a little bit, had her flip, and I scrunched it a little bit. The cool thing about this is sometimes when it comes to gels or even with creams is it looks a little bit too perfect. So by scrunching it and really opening up her curls, it looks a lot softer. It looks like she essentially spent her days at the beach and she can flip it around as she may. Okay guys, there you have it. Thank you so much again for watching. I will be sure to keep these videos coming because we need more education out there, especially when it comes to curly hair, color, and styling. So I will see you next time.